Hey guys, it's your boy John Hayes. I'm back. I apologize about the delay in videos. If you follow me on Facebook at John Hayes, Haze, you'll see I've posted a couple of previews about some things I'm going to be posting on the YouTube channel here pretty soon. Today, I'm going to do a dish called egg and tomato. In Chinese, it's Shihongshi Chao Jidan. It's pretty traditional. I'm going to do it a little bit lighter. I'm going to use liquid egg versus real egg, and I'm going to use a lot less oil because when you fry the egg, or it'll be a scrambled kind of fry, but you really want to cook in a lot of oil to get it really fluffy and all that. But you know, we're trying to do a different lifestyle here, make it a little bit healthier. I'm going to use a lot less oil. I'm only going to use 2 tablespoons of oil for the scrambling of the egg, and 2 tablespoons of oil for the sauteing and cooking of the tomato. As you saw when I was chopping everything, I cut all the green onion on a bias, and again I separated the whites from the greens of the green onion. We're going to use the whites from the green onion to season the skillet with the tomato, and the greens will be cooked in with the tomato as we cook as it cooks, and it'll also be used as garnish. So let's get to it. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get our skillet nice and hot. As you can see, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of oil. This is a half tablespoon measuring, so I'll have to do 4 of these. I'll put all this off to the side. And as you can see, I'm using my trusty non-stick skillet, so we're going to use a plastic spatula because we don't want to scratch it and consume any of this Teflon. That would be bad. And we really want this to be super hot because we really want to cook the egg fast. We're not going to cook it all the way through, but we want to cook it fast. Kind of like when I did the faux fried rice, we're not going to cook the egg all the way through. We want to leave it a little bit undercooked so that when it goes back into the pot, it won't get cooked too hard and make it real tough. Now what I did was I measured out enough liquid egg to make about 3 eggs. I use a 1-to-1 ratio for egg to tomato. You can change that however you want to, depending on what your protein needs are or what your protein preferences are. If you'd like less egg, you can use less egg. If you want more egg, you can use more egg. It's really up to you. I would have loved to have done this video earlier, but I really wanted to try to use some garden fresh tomatoes. That Roma tomato that I used was actually from the garden, which was exciting. The other 2 were store-bought. This is like the first year that the garden hasn't produced ripe tomatoes before August. I mean, it's kind of strange out here this year. I'm hoping that the oil is nice and hot now. I'm going to go ahead and add in the egg. Okay, it's still a little bit runny. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out now because I don't want to overcook it. And as you can see, I'm not even going to rinse the pan. I'm not going to do anything. We're just going to go ahead and reuse the pan. I may not need to use that much oil now, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and add 1 or half a tablespoon of oil, and we're just going to use it like that. Not sure if you noticed or not, but we just had technical difficulty. My spatula fell on the floor, so I had to wash it real quick. But that gave my oil time to heat up. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add in the green onion whites so that we can season up that oil. I'm going to go ahead and toss in a couple of the greens just because there's not a whole lot of white. These green onions came from the garden. That's why they're a lot thinner than what you'd get at the store. Alright. The skillet should be nice and seasoned now. I'm going to add in my tomato. At this point, I prefer to add a little bit of salt to help break down the tomato and to season it a little bit as it cooks. Now when it comes to this, you can cook the tomato as much or as little as you want to. I'm used to having my grandmother do it, and she would cook it so that the tomato was nice and tender and soft so that the texture matched the egg. But I've had it in China also where the tomato was still a little firm and had some bite to it. And so it's really up to you and what your preferences are. Again, with Chinese food, a lot of this stuff is up to you. So you cook it the way that you want it. Now as you can see, my tomatoes aren't exactly producing a whole lot of liquid. And if you saw me, I drained the cutting board into the bowl that I was storing the tomato because I really wanted to try to preserve as much natural juice as I could. But because it's a little bit dry, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water in there to help break the tomato down a little bit more. I'm just going to say be cautious about how much water you add in, because it will end up diluting the flavor of your tomato a little bit, but that may not be a bad thing depending on how much you like or dislike tomato. As a kid, I really didn't like this because I wasn't a fan of tomato, and honestly I'm still not. I don't really eat raw tomato very often, but as I've gotten older, I've appreciated this dish a lot more because of the flavor and just the tradition of the dish itself. I'm going to turn my heat down because it's on high, and it's just going to cook all the juice out, and I really don't want that. And again, you can see we're getting kind of dry, so I'm going to add a little bit more water, and I'm actually going to add in some of the green onions so that can break down with it. I don't know if you can tell or not, but some of the tomato isn't breaking down at the same rate, like this piece right here, and then there's some greener pieces, and those are from the fresh tomato from out in the garden, which wasn't 100% ripe. Personally, I like my egg and tomato to have a little bit more liquid to it, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and add my my egg, because I don't really want to make like a marinara. I still want a little bit of texture to the tomato. So we're going to just break this up, and as you can see, it continued to cook in the bowl. Alright, because I added so much water and the eggs back in, and the eggs were unseasoned, I'm going to add another pinch or so of salt, and I use kosher salt. Let's mix that all in. And at this point, I want to add a dash of sesame oil, just for the shine and the seasoning. So I'm going to use half a tablespoon. Actually, no, I'm going to do about a quarter of a tablespoon, because half of a tablespoon is quite a bit. I'm just going to drizzle that on. Guys, let me tell you, the scent, the aroma that comes off of that when you add that sesame oil, it just permeates the air and your mouth just starts to water. Alright, this looks like it's about done, so I'm going to cut off the heat and I'm going to go ahead and plate it up. I'm going to try to do this so that you can see what's going on. Go ahead and add it in there into my bowl. Get as much of it in there as I possibly can so we're not wasting anything. So here, I want to go ahead and garnish it with a little bit more of the green onion. And I just like the way that it looks when the green onion is cut on a bias. You can cut it into rounds, you can cut it into like inch sticks if you want to. That's really up to you. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me and making this egg and tomato dish. Be on the lookout. I'll be making more videos in the future. I'll probably be doing some less healthy dishes here in the near future, mainly because I want to help spread the recipes that my grandmother made to my family, and you actually learn a lot more by watching somebody do it than just by looking at a recipe. A recipe can tell you all the ingredients, it can tell you the timing, it can tell you all that, but if you don't see it, you may not really understand. So be on the lookout for those videos coming up in the near future. As always, I'll be trying to post healthy versions of dishes as well. So keep an eye out for those. And again, thanks for joining me. And until next time, we're out.